let's talk a little bit about what you need to hide a transmitter, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you need to find it. To hide, really, it could just be as simple as an HT is really all you need. And in fact, the first few hunts I went on, there were people that had nothing more than they just sat in their car and they read out of the handbook, or they read the latest article out of QST and sat in their car somewhere transmitting constantly for people to come track them down. So at a bare minimum, all you need is just a transmitter. Most of the hunts are done on 2 meters. There's some hunting going on 80 meters, which is kind of interesting because there's really no bouncing on 80 meters, so everything's kind of direct, but it's a whole different collection of equipment. But by far the majority of the hunting is done on 2 meters. There's pretty much a national fox hunting frequency on 146.565, and that's where most of the hunts are done. We've done some of the hunts in the valley on that frequency, but since that part of the band typically in this area has like a 20 kilohertz spacing, it kind of breaks the gentleman's agreement band plan that we have in the area. So more recently we've been moving to different frequencies to hopefully kind of fit a little bit better in the local band plan.
What's that frequency again?
146.565, or as we call it 6565 on 2 meters. And it's just a simplex frequency that's a pretty common. It's the way most of these transmitters come defaulted. However, you'll quickly find that if you're transmitting and just talking for a long time, A, that wears someone out, and B, it doesn't give you a very small transmitter to find if you're looking for a whole body. So you'll quickly want to probably grow into something that's a little more automated. What some people have done is they've gotten like greeting cards that have recordable voices and hacked those and feed into a radio mic jack. Now you've got just a simple recording that can play back, or even audio tapes or something like that. But now with the days of microcontrollers, it's pretty easy to build a microcontroller-based controller that will control these things, and that's what most of the people use. This is one that I created several years ago. It's called the PicCon, and it interfaces into the mic jack and the earphone jack of the radio, and it's got a DTMF decoder chip in it. So all your programming and controlling is all done with DTMF tones. So you key up on a radio, you enter the touch tones in order to enter your call sign, the duty cycle, the on time, off time, all the settings that you want, and then you go hide this thing and it'll key up your radio, send some tone sequences, kind of like what we heard in the demo, and then make sure it legally identifies every 10 minutes or as often as you tell it to, and then you can have it be off the air and on the air. So that's a really easy way to just use your own radio to control a transmitter. Then you can just hide that and let it go. You can even set these things up so that, say, a program that I want it to turn on 24 hours from now. So you can hide the T the day before the hunt and be standing there with all the hunters when the hunt starts. Start transmitting, and you can kind of watch them as they leave. I've also got another one that we use fairly commonly, at least recently, is called the Microfox 15. This was something that we're using most often now for our hunts. We originally had these for the APRS trackers because they have a frequency agile 2-meter transmitter in them. That normally barefoot is just 15 milliwatts. We would normally put amps on them, and for APRS it's just a short data burst, so it's not a problem running 10 watts out of them. But I kind of realized that if we just put these things on a board without an amplifier, it works great for fox hunting. It's got a similar controller to what's in the PicCon there, but it's computer programmed instead of DTMF because we don't have a receiver on here. And this is pretty much everything you need. This with a rubber duck like that and a 9-volt battery, and that's the full fox that you can go hide anywhere. Being 15 milliwatts, we find it works pretty good for about roughly 2 miles. So if you're doing a walking T hunt where you're going to have maybe a bunch of transmitters in a park, or anything that's not really a driving T hunt, these things really are kind of ideal. If you want to go for a longer range hunt or a driving one, you'll probably use something more like this, so you can run higher power. You would set the frequency and the power all on your radio, either your HT or your mobile, and you can control the transmissions of the Fox that way. Let's see, I've got one other one that's kind of cool. This one is called a Squawk Box, I believe. So what's cool about this one is it actually sends voice. So I'm going to turn this on, turn it to 146.565, good. And so what's cool about this, it's just a little board with a little pigtail antenna. So I can just push this button here and record an audio. This is N6BG with some background audio from another Fox giving a talk at the ARA general meeting. And so it plays your voice recording over and over on the Fox frequency. So rather than listening to tones, you can actually have some voice that you're hunting.
Is that one frequency agile?
That one is not frequency agile. This one came from a fellow in. It's the guy who does the Pico Doppler. I forget his name, but he sells that, and he also sells this one here, which is kind of similar to the one I sell. That is, again, like a 10 milliwatt transmitter. These two are you order it from the factory with your call sign and the frequency, so it's not changeable once you get it. So that's about it for the transmitters, or at least all I can think of for what you need for the transmitting side of things. Again, you kind of set these things up, and you just let them run, and hopefully your hunters come hunt.